starts next. Hopefully you took the day off because we had the Super Bowl yesterday. Maybe you had a good time, had a little party, some pizzas, some beverages, and watched a lot of commercials.
15 10-year-old boys were in my
tell me
house.
about the party that you
Fourth grade. So Theo's birthday, it's not right on Super Bowl Sunday, but it's like right around this.
Yeah.
And so he does a combined Super Bowl birthday party, and so it's chaos.
Did you have
It's
a
chaos.
sleepover? Or
No,
it
not
was
a
school night?
sleepover, thank goodness. Here's how we structured it. We said, drop off the kids, you pick them up anytime after the halftime show.
Oh.
Because, you know, it's school night,
What time was
the whole thing.
halftime?
It was around, I want to say like 7 o'clock,
Yeah,
7:30. So it was a reasonable exit. And we strategically did all like paper cups and plates
Absolutely.
to expedite the cleanup.
What
and
kind of pizzas did you get?
If you notice a few extra boxes of Domino's pizza in our cafeteria downstairs,
I saw those.
those were from the boys. And so unfortunately it's all cheese pizza.
Oh, that's
what
perfect.
Cheese and pepperoni.
You didn't want it in your house.
I didn't want it in the house.
I thought it was left over from last night, like last night's crew, you know?
Fresh. It's fresh leftovers,
Fresh
in other words.
from
yes,
the
exactly.
fridge.
Exactly.
And it's
from the
cheese,
fridge.
it can't go bad.
Can't go bad.
Well, that's fun. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, how was yours?
I forgot that it was the Super Bowl yesterday, kind of.
You were that invested.
Yeah, I had the kids in the bath at like 6:30. I was in bed by 7.
Lucky you.
So that was my evening.
I didn't have a dog in the fight, but it's always fun to host, and we did squares and everything.
Good
and
for you.
You know, did some prizes and birthday
When my
cake
kids
and
get
candles.
older, I think we'll do all of that.
That's fun.
I think we'll do the Super Bowl thing.
Yeah.
I still have the little ones, so it's like, and we've got a cold in the house.
Always. It's the Caitlin Cody curse of the season.
Continues, so we didn't really do anything, but if you did watch and paid close attention to the commercials, this next segment is going to be just for you.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people who aren't football fans, now in the past, I will say, I've watched just for the commercials, watched the Super Bowl. So we're going to dive into the ads that were played, what were successful, what were bombs, and why, with Professor Tim Calkins with the Northwestern University Kellogg School of Management. He's here this morning to talk to us about
Professor, welcome.
Coming.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Okay.
Did you, first of all, is this assigned viewing for your students in a situation like you say, hey, watch, pay attention, we're going to go over everything on Monday?
No, it's not. So this is an event we do at Kellogg, and students apply to be part of it. And they spend the Super Bowl at Kellogg watching all the ads. And it's a very different way to watch a Super Bowl because they've got to evaluate every piece of advertising as it comes along.
Yeah.
And it's not really a party. It really is quite a lot of work, but a lot of students want to be part of it. So we've got a couple hundred want to be there, and I think our panel last night, we picked 75 to be on.
Such a learning experience. So
cool.
Overall vibes, let's take it just looking down on the 2026 Super Bowl commercial program. Do you think that it was successful or a little less successful than years in the past?
I think the advertising overall was better than we've seen.
All right.
I think companies spend so much money now to advertise on the Super Bowl that they're very careful about what they put on. And this year in particular, you saw a lot of companies keep it sort of light. You know, they avoided any real serious themes for the most part. They also kept it pretty product focused, and that's safe. You know, you avoid controversy if you're just talking about your product or your service, and it also leads to better advertising. Generally.
Okay. All right. So what makes good or successful? You said focusing on the product. So you're saying taking those political stances or saying something that's a little bit off the beaten path is not the way to go.
Correct. So a lot of people, when they look at Super Bowl ads, they think about what was funny or what was likable, and that's what they look at. So at Kellogg, we take a different lens, though, because we're a business school, so we're always thinking about these as business investments. Will they build the business? Will they build the brand? That's really what it's all about. So we have a framework we use. We call it ad plan. You got to get attention. You've got to have distinction. You want the positioning to come across. You need linkage between the creative and the brand. amplification. You want people to remember something positive and about your brand,
Talk
and then
about
that
it.
equity
Yeah.
should be consistent with what we know about the brand.
Okay.
So that's the framework our panel uses as they evaluate all these spots during the game.
That's a good way to do it. Maybe we can do a little mini version of it ourselves here on Chicago Now. Let's take a look at some of the highlights here. Okay, so this one, I saw a clip of this one a little bit earlier. This one had to do with Claude, right?
Exactly right.
The AI. Run us through what worked or didn't about this spot right
So
here.
correct. This is Anthropic's Claude. And what's really interesting about this spot is it gets your attention, but then it delivers this message that says Claude doesn't have any advertising. Because what happens is this is sort of an AI prompt conversation, but it goes into an advertising message. And you're like, oh, shoot, now it's advertising. And Claude makes the point that it doesn't have any advertising. OpenAI, ChatGPT apparently will soon have advertising. So now they're saying we're different, and Claude is going to be better because it's going to be not advertising-driven AI discussions. That's pretty good.
That's the one where basically my impression of it, and again, I didn't see the whole thing, but that guy right there.
That's Claude.
No, that's not Claude. He's asking his trainer for some advice, and he spits out an ad, right? Like he talks like an ad, and so it's really unnatural, and it's like it's
at the
cringy.
beginning it starts off as like a real sort of AI discussion you might have, but then it turns into you can get an extra boost with these shoe implants or something.
Oh, okay.
Exactly, and so it's kind of
Claude
creepy.
is the new AI that we have to get without ads. All
Without
right,
ads,
what's
exactly.
next? Because I came in, and I'm wondering what order we're going to show these in.
Oh, I remember. Is this the?
So this is Coinbase. So this is the Coinbase ad.
This one caught my attention just because it looked like
It looks different.
It looks like it's a karaoke sing-along. It's exactly like a karaoke. So what's going on with this one?
So this is in theory a karaoke sing-along, and I think you're exactly right. It gets your attention. It's different. The whole thing. But for the Kellogg panel, they gave this a terrible score. So we gave this an F, an F. The reason why it scored so low is that this, if you get the karaoke sing-along, let's assume you do, you might miss that completely. But regardless, it doesn't tell us anything about Coinbase. Like, what is Coinbase? And why would you want to go there? Why would you want to use it?
So the linkage part was not there.
There you go.
I'm paying attention.
Very good. That's
linkage is not there at all.
We would call this a linkage problem.
Okay.
Exactly right.
Okay.
And so this score is really low. It's just not a very effective spot.
It's not a fun one to watch either. It's just reading words very slowly.
When you hear it, because I think they did like an old boy band song.
Okay.
But you're right. If you would ask me today, I might have remembered what it looked like, but I would never be able to tell you that it was for Coinbase.
Correct.
And I still don't know what Coinbase is.
Yeah, and even if you remembered Coinbase, which was not likely, then there's still nothing like, well, why should I go there? What is it? Why should I go there? Right? You miss all that too.
Okay. Let's see. We have a couple others racked up, I think.
That one doesn't do well at all. So.
All right, Gemini.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing this, so I don't know.
Okay, you haven't seen this one before. All right, so this is a spot where basically the scenario is the family's moving to a new house.
Okay.
And they are using Gemini, Google's Gemini, to help look at the house and think about where they might go. So here's
your
the
wheelhouse.
No, literally.
You've done this with
boy is like designing his house, and he's like, can I make the walls blue? And now they say, can I put in the dog bed for whoever to sleep? And then they look at the backyard, and it's like, can we put in the trampoline? And Mom says, no, we're not putting in the trampoline. But it's what's neat about this, it's a great spot. This was actually the top spot from the panel this year. Because it really shows you what you can do with the product.
I'm not surprised.
The linkage was good.
This
linkage was great.
Fantastic, because I can say, even just as someone who uses ChatGPT all the time for things like this, I described what I've done with ChatGPT to my parents, even to our coworker Natalie. Blown away, and this is showing you exactly what I've described, and it's amazing. If people have not had experience with AI, it explains exactly what you can do with AI, what it's capable of with just the most random day-to-day things.
Correct, and it does with this very human story of moving to, and we can all sort of relate to that, moving to a new place, and you're nervous, and how does that work? So you touch this human story. But it really is a product demonstration. So that's great. Great linkage, great benefit. The positioning comes across. That's a really nice piece.
It kept showing Gemini across the screen, so you know what we're talking about.
Yep.
I like that one.
Very good. Very good.
Do we have any more, you guys? Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Oh, was this the
This is the
Is this the
relaxer.
tight end one?
Tight end.
Yes, okay. I saw this. There's Greg Olson. So these are some retired. There's I remember Tony Gonzalez was in this spot too.
Yeah, a lot of tight ends here.
Yes, indeed.
And so this is a really interesting spot
George
from
Kittle.
Novartis. And the message here, they're trying to encourage men to get their PSA tested. And they're trying to say it's not a big deal, and you get your PSA tested, and you don't have to worry about it. You can relax. And this is a spot that's a little goofy, right? It's a strange spot in some ways. You have all these tight ends and relax. But at the end of the day, it gets the message across. So it's a spot that's different. It communicates well. Go get your PSA test.
Yeah. Did you dig into how much these would cost, like cost effectiveness? Because I can imagine that this was one of the more expensive ones, paying all of these football players.
Can you even imagine?
No.
The expense that they probably put into this with all the players and the coaches and the media time. And
I mean, those are some high-priced. That's high-priced talent right there too.
Because Coinbase would have been cheap, I will say. That blue screen with the words compared to the cost to do something like this.
Production, absolutely.
Production,
Right.
but what about the real estate itself, the Super Bowl real estate? Do you know offhand what a 30-second spot was?
It's all negotiated. It's a little bit like buying a used car. You know, prices are all over the place. But they did say, the network said that they sold some spots this year for over $10 million for a 30-second spot.
Man.
So it's a lot of
Which one
money.
was that? Gemini, probably.
Some of the late buys.
Well, yeah. So what's the prime? I mean, the prime of the prime here. Is it after?
Right
you know,
before
the coin
halftime?
toss. Is it right before Yeah. Well, do you
I
know?
think the best spots are usually early in the game. The first set of spots, that's sort of your first pod of spots. That's the best. But then there's a lot of strategies around. Do you want to go early or later? I think if you go later, the problem is you can end up with a game like last night.
Right, where it's like a little bit.
And I haven't seen the numbers yet, but I bet viewership began to dip.
Oh, yeah.
Because the halftime show was done, and get to bed Monday now, and you don't need to stick around for. So I think those advertisers suffered a little bit this year.
I will say I walked in this morning. First thing Mike Kaplan, our meteorologist in the morning, said was, "Did you see this commercial?" And he got out his phone, and I'm like trying to get ready. He's like, "You got to watch this," and he stuck it there. It was the Budweiser commercial with the horse and the bird, the eagle. It was phenomenal. Was that was the number one?
He was gushing about that one today, and I
sit down and watch it.
Yeah, he scolded me because I have not seen that one.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Oh, of course.
Okay. Do we have that one or? Okay, we don't have that one. But what was
We
the
can
gist of that
describe
one?
it.
Because we aired the Bud Light one where the keg is rolling down.
Okay,
the hill.
so this was Budweiser.
Okay.
So it was the Clydesdale as a pony and as a baby, not pony. I know that's a different thing. As a baby, and then there was this little bird that needed help flying. So this horse was riding along with the bird. As it got bigger, it got bigger, it got bigger. So the Clydesdale is this big, beautiful horse, and then all of a sudden at the end, you can see that the bird was an eagle. So the horse is running along, and the eagle spreads its wings and then flies off, and then it says, you know, Budweiser. It was beautiful.
What's
I want to
amazing,
crack a Budweiser right now, just having heard that.
Very American.
what's amazing is how well you remembered that story. That is the power. And Budweiser's these really, they're great storytellers.
Yes.
Stories people can remember.
Yes.
And see, it's amazing. You played back that ad sort of second by second. That was it.
It was beautiful.
It was a
really
great
good ad.
spot. It had great branding, great linkage, all of that. Did it deliver a benefit that'll get you to drink Budweiser? I think that's the question. So I think our panel gave it a B. I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
It was sort of an amazing spot. That also was a very popular spot. So I think when they do the rankings of popularity, people love that spot with the eagle. What's not to like?
Oh, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, they're very proud that the eagle flying was not AI generated. That was real film. And that was one of the big things they said ahead of time. They're like, this is the real deal.
The company said that ahead of time.
Yes, but could you imagine how hard that is? You need a jumping Clydesdale and an eagle on the back. Just imagine the complexities.
Oh, man.
Talk about production.
Yeah.
That'd be a toughie.
Bravo to them.
All right, we have one from Salesforce we want to show you. Oh, this is Mr. Beast.
This is Mr. Beast. Okay, so this spot highlights the risks of working with influencers. So apparently Salesforce went to Mr. Beast and they said, we want to do a Super Bowl ad. Mr. Beast said, I'll do it with you, but I'll only do it if I can control the advertising.
Okay.
And so then what we end up with is this, which is really a spot about Mr. Beast has created some game or riddle for people to try to solve to get $1 million, but it tells us nothing at all about Salesforce.
Okay,
right?
so was this a win or a lose?
This is a lose.
This is a lose.
This is one of the real low spots because it's, I guess, a great spot for Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
So bravo for that. But for Salesforce, not much linkage. It's not really about the brand at all. Like, what does this tell us? Nothing. And but I think this is what sometimes happens to companies where they get so caught up in working with a certain person that they give away creative control. And then, in many cases, the people you're working with, you know what they don't want to talk about? Your product. And that becomes a problem.
Like, what is Salesforce? I couldn't even tell from
Yeah, I'm just curious how this happens. Like, if a spot doesn't check certain boxes, with the budget and all the brains working behind the scenes, you know, you guys have, I mean, all this, you have an architecture to make sure that an ad checks the kinds of boxes that it has. If something is that big of a fail, what is your insight into how it even makes error?
That's a good question.
Oh, I think it all goes back to you know, how the political dynamics inside the company. And I think what happened here is somebody got really excited about working with Mr. Beast, probably somebody very senior at Salesforce.
Yeah,
and they struck this deal with Mr. Beast because Mr. Beast said, I'm a big celebrity, so... And the senior person said, well, yeah, let's do it, it's worth it. And then I think probably the people closer to the product were probably like, this isn't going well. But the senior person's like, no, we've got to work with... It's a lot of these Super Bowl ads, they're so visible and they get so much attention that everybody has an opinion. So within a company, you know, you can be very sure the CEO is weighing in on this advertising. And if the CEO likes it, that's great. And what are you going to do?
They're probably happy with it still today. My question to you about these commercials is, we get so locked in on these amazing commercials during the Super Bowl. First of all, 2 questions. Why are companies not doing creative commercials like this all the time? And 2, why are we not repeating them afterwards? Because I feel like once you see them on the Super Bowl, you see them one time and they're done. They spend all this money on the production. Why aren't they just rolling them in the future?
So now, a lot of these you will see. So if you look around, you'll see them continue that. And to get a good return on investment from a Super Bowl spot, you usually want to continue that.
That's what I would say.
Continue the momentum and show up on the Olympics, for example. You might be on the Olympics now this week with some of the similar, or a variation of the campaign. So ideally, you'll see that. A one-off Super Bowl spot, I think it limits your impact. Sometimes, though, people don't continue it because they're contractual deals with the talent. And they might say, we'll pay you this amount of money to be in the Super Bowl. Right. But then the talent
royalties
says,
later.
That's it. Royalties later. They're like, that's it.
I get it.
So we're not going to do that. Why don't people do this kind of advertising more? It's because of the investment required. To produce these is so much money. And that works when it's a big venue with a lot of viewership. But more and more, you know, media properties are sort of getting smaller audiences and scattered a little bit. And so what happens is companies are spending less money on simpler advertising that you can produce very cheaply, but use in lots of different places and tailor it for this and tailor it for that to come up with customized advertising. That's
that makes sense.
Cheaper.
Yeah, it's all changing. You have to put it on a bunch of different platforms.
That's right.
Correct.
All right, we got one more to check out here. Let's see. Oh, this is
this is Svedka. Correct.
Okay.
And this, again, is not one of the highlights of the Super Bowl, but it is interesting. This is an AI-generated spot, so created by AI. And I guess this is supposed to get us wanting Svedka.
Was it?
But I think it missed.
Was it part of the shtick that it was generated by AI, or
they did say that ahead of time? They did communicate that, but I don't think that was the message. It's just trying to figure out what the message is here for this, because I guess this is people having a good time at a robot. I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
Where they're going.
Yeah, I don't like it very much.
iRobot, Isaac Asimov kind of. Remember the iRobot movie? It looks like the one on the left looks like that.
Also,
so what's the
you would think if AI came up with it, it would look more futuristic. I feel like this doesn't look like 2026.
Correct. Yeah. Shake your bots off. I guess that's the message there. I don't. But again, that one it's just not. That one doesn't
was a
score
miss.
well with the panel. That one is a miss.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, all right. This is fascinating to kind of learn about what hits, what misses, and Professor, we appreciate your time coming in and educating us.
Oh, well, it's always fun to talk about Super Bowl spots, and the Super Bowl's only getting more important as time goes on. It's amazing.
Wait, before we let you go, what one was your favorite? I don't think we asked. Was it the Budweiser?
My favorite? I really
Yes.
like the Google spot.
I think
Google
Gemini.
spot,
Okay.
really sweet spot.
That's the one.
And it just taps into it. I think that one's probably my favorite this
I liked
year.
it, too.
I thought State Farm had a good spot as well.
Okay.
You remember that one with John Bon Jovi was in that one?
Oh.
Nice. That was a good spot. It didn't score great with our panel, but I thought that was still pretty nice.
I saw that out of the corner of my eye because, again, we were in 4th grade party mode, but I'll go over that one. And so Mike Kaplan doesn't scold me, I'll go over the Budweiser one.
You got to watch.
I got to watch the Budweiser
You'll
one.
remember every detail.
Tim Calkins with Kellogg. Thank you so much for being in.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
your time.
Great fun.
That was really
Nice
fun.
chatting with you.
All right, coming up, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, hot take dating, okay? This is how to weed out incompatible partners for your love life, and addressing the one topic that is apparently the most controversial of all. That's when we come back.
It is just about 10:23. Okay, so here in studio, when you work at a TV station, sometimes you get people that come in, and some folks get the people who are doing the interviews very excited. And, you know, sometimes others don't know who that person is, da-da-da. Anyways, when we have Dave Ramsey personalities on the show, I get so excited. We had Rachel Cruz in the studio. I'm still on a high about that. This morning, we get to talk to another fellow, Dr. John Deloney, who is also a Ramsey personality. Dr. John, I watch your videos all the time, and I feel like you guys are my own personal celebrities. So I'm super excited to chat with you this morning.
Dude, I'm excited now. I'm gonna cut this interview and show my daughter because she doesn't think I'm cool at all.
Oh, you're so cool. I've watched you. You interviewed your wife one time. I watched a video. I know all about you guys. You're fantastic. Okay, so we're having you on this morning though to talk about something called hot take dating, when people share their strong opinions right off the bat when they start dating somebody, to weed out incompatible partners. I think this is probably a good idea, but there is one topic that people don't want to talk about right out of the gate. Can we dive in with that?
Yeah, nobody wants to talk about the #1 source of conflict in romantic relationships, and that is money, finances, savings, debt. We just want to avoid that conversation altogether, and it will always come back to bite us.
Okay, so what is the solution here? How do we navigate it then, John?
Well, I want to go back. I'm not a huge fan of this dump everything on the table on the first date kind of dating. I think it's an overreaction to the swipe right culture we're coming out of, where everything is just, let's just avoid all hard conversations until later. I do think it's important to begin talking about values, right? And so on the first date, the second date, the third date, we're not going to ask, hey, how much money do you make? And how much money do you have in savings? That's a really personal question. But we might ask things that are value-centric, like, tell me what you think about work, or are you a spender or a saver, or how did you decide to go to college or not go to college, or where do you see yourself professionally down the road? All of those questions are about values, and they can provide signals for how a person actually interacts with their money.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Because you don't want them to feel like they're in a job interview when you ask these questions. I would feel so incredibly uncomfortable asking something, you know, along those lines about money. And maybe that's a values thing too. Do you think this is this new generation where they feel like they're an open book, so they want to put it all out on a platter? I know you mentioned that that's not a good idea to do on the first date, and it's more old school to kind of keep it close to you.
Well, it's finding a happy medium. Yeah, I do think we have a culture that is tired of secrecy and is wanting transparency, and they want to live that out. The challenge with that is, if there's been one constant over the course of my life, is I have really strong opinions, and I'm wrong a lot, right? And so thinking our opinions are the way we are going to create a circle of community around us is really kind of wrong-headed. What I want is a bunch of folks who share the same values on dignity, on treating each other well, on celebrating each other, on challenging each other. And I hope that I've got friends with different viewpoints that will challenge me and help shape my opinions moving forward. And so it's just about being curious instead of judgmental when we meet people.
Yeah, and you know, with regard to specifically addressing the finance portion of the conversation, do you feel like in those first 2-3 dates that it should be addressed specifically, the topic of finances, even if it is in that, like, you know, feeling them out kind of way, not asking directly? Or do you feel like you should just have those other kinds of conversations where you can gauge your values in life and maybe hold off on addressing finances specifically until later dates?
I think it's a both and. I don't know anyone who's going to tell you this is the way you do it in date 1 and date 2 doesn't know the realities of human interaction. Everybody's different, and some conversations naturally lead themselves one way, and some, like Caitlin, like you mentioned, it would just feel weird to just almost attack somebody with a certain set of questions.
Sure.
I want to look at people's actions. Are they tipping generously? Are they peacocking, as I like to call it? Are they flexing with all of their bright, shiny accoutrements, and they're talking about all their sports betting and crypto insider knowledge? I'm going to stay away from those type of red flags.
Yeah.
Is somebody willing to be honest about their money, about their mistakes, about like building a future together? I'm really going to lean towards those green flags.
What if everything else is fantastic and you get past those couple of dates and you guys get a little bit more serious? And I know the Ramsey crew, you guys are all about not having debt, but then you find out that this person is in financial trouble. Do you think that that's a line you should draw that you won't go past and say, okay, well, we're going to go our separate ways? Or can you work things through with the finance stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my wife married me with I was 6 figures in the hole. And so I would never tell somebody to run from somebody who's made financial mistakes in the past.
Okay.
I'm much more interested in, is the person willing to acknowledge their mistakes, and will they commit to living in a reality-based plan? Something as simple as live on less than you make. Something as simple as save for retirement. Something as simple as I may need to take a second and third job to pay off some of these old debts for a season. All of those things signal I can count on this person in the future. I can anchor my life into theirs moving forward.
I'm reading here that 56% of couples say that they never actually had a serious discussion about money before getting married. First of all, I'm really surprised about that. That so many couples are just avoiding this before making that commitment. What is your advice if someone's watching right now who may be engaged or in a really serious relationship and it's headed that way, it's headed toward the big commitment? What are some tips in terms of just kind of breaking the ice and going for it with this specific topic?
There's one way to break this ice, and that is with the old school cannonball. You just got to have the conversation. And I think anytime you have to have a challenging conversation in a relationship, using I statements instead of you statements, I want to talk about money instead of you never talk about money. I'm uncomfortable. Discuss how you're feeling. Discuss the stories you're making up about it. But be willing to put it on the table and call it out. Hey, this is going to be a hard conversation that we've never even talked about before. How are we going to manage money in our relationship? How do you see your role and my role working together to create a financial future that's secure moving forward? And by the way, couples who report being good or great, this is in the data, they share a single checking account, which sounds bananas to some folks. They regularly have conversations that are planning in nature, right? They create a budget together. They talk about their calendar. They work together on this thing, and they end out with with much greater joint net worth together than those who keep their money separate. And so if you're willing to wade through these hard conversations and come to some sort of value agreement, man, the sky's the limit to how you two can work together.
So you just pointed out the positives of putting your finances together. I have to say we have had guests on in the past who encouraged you to keep your finances separate. And we have people who work here that keep their finances separate from their spouse. Can you speak to the negative side? Besides, obviously, you just mentioned your net worth growing more if you're together, but what consequences come from keeping finances separate in marriage?
It's really like both of you are in your own car pretending you're in the same vehicle trying to get to the same destination, and eventually a pothole will come up, an exit ramp will come up, and you'll end up, you may be 6 inches apart from each other on the couch, but you'll be 6,000 miles away from each other in reality. The data says that sharing a checking account forces couples to talk about how we spend money, how we save money, what we as a couple and a household value, right? Where are we going to buy groceries? Do we need to buy organic stuff, or can we buy stuff like just like regular no-name brand stuff? It forces you, what kind of cars are we going to drive? How big is our house going to be? It brings you into alignment on so many issues. The checking account, the money itself is just the light on the dashboard. What it forces you to do in terms of coming together and co-creating a life, man, it's invaluable. Couples who split their money, who Venmo each other back and forth for dinner, or who Venmo each other for, hey, you got the light bill this month, I got the water bill next month. That's what we did in college with roommates, right? It encourages separation, and it never forces you to get in the same car and decide on a single direction.
So it doesn't sound like you see too many downsides to combining finances in that kind of collaborative way.
Well, the biggest downside is you don't always get your way. Which I don't, right? Or I have to take into somebody else's feelings and somebody else's wants and desires into account before I just plow ahead. And so, yeah, there's the short-term downside. That, it's similar to my 10-year-old daughter when she throws a temper tantrum, right? But the benefits so greatly outweigh it if you can wade through that initial challenge.
I agree with you 100%. I remember it was a process for us. I'll just share. We share a lot on this show, John.
We overshare.
But when we were engaged, we obviously were separate. When we got married, I remember the first couple of years, we had a joint checking, but we each had what we called splurge accounts, where we kind of did a thing, and that didn't last forever. It actually worked for us in the short term. Before then, everything's combined.
When you have kids, it's like, oh.
But I remember it was a process for me to get my head around exactly what John just said about, hey, I'm not going to get my way all the time. Like, this is fully integrated. This is not just me being me. And so it was an adjustment. And I remember that I don't know how long we did splurge accounts, but that was what we called them. And I remember it was just like one of those things where if one of us got a parking ticket or something like that, or one of us wanted to buy something really expensive, or splurge on a gift for the other person, would come out of that. So there are arrangements, right, like that. I'm guessing you've seen it all, where you don't
Sure.
have to have everything in every pot, but you can get creative with it, correct?
You can. I want to always challenge folks. The more complex you make your financial situation, the more places it can fall apart underneath you. And having things like splurge accounts, my wife and I tried some of that too in the first few years of our marriage. What I've seen over and over again is it just becomes a overly sophisticated way to breed resentment. I don't care how connected you are. If you get if the light bill is suddenly more expensive, or take for instance, you get a parking ticket and you're paying your parking ticket, but you see your partner suddenly spending money from their splurge account on something fancy, or if the gas bill, we just had this wild storm here in Nashville, if the gas bill is expensive one month, but your partner's spending money out of their splurge account, right? It just is a recipe for not being on the same page.
Yeah.
There's something about saying what was once yours and mine is now ours. Our debts, our successes, the tough times, the good times, those are ours. Man, you find joy and peace on the other side of that willingness to commit all in.
I love
agree.
it.
I really do agree.
So your last word on this hot take dating: don't come off hot right off the bat, and work finances in the conversation in a roundabout way about values instead of just asking straight questions. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we let you go, John?
Yes, in this crazy dating world that we found ourselves in, say what you believe, say what you value, and be curious and not judgmental about other people's different opinions. That's where growth happens.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I think very well stated. Dr. John Deloney, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful for the hospitality.
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
Thanks
So
for
fun.
your visit here. Yeah. So you've been watching this team for a while.
Oh, a long time. Years,
You listen to
years and years and
podcasts?
years. I used to like crazy, but the Dave Ramsey podcast, eventually you know exactly what he's going to say to every question.
Oh, okay, you get to know him that well.
You know the whole program. But he's like, I was explaining to Anthony, he has different professionals and different, topics.
Yeah.
So you could listen to the spinoff.
It's unbelievable how, and it is challenging. It's kind of what he alluded to there. The only way out is through. Sometimes when it comes to combined finances, but all the stats point to that. Finances are one of the top things that couples fight about.
But when
get
you think about it
divorced
too,
over.
what he said, like if you separate your finances, you're in two different cars going the same destination, but sometimes you veer off. I get that.
Yeah.
And I try to encourage, my friends who I've talked to who keep separate finances from their spouse. Like, I don't think that that's probably the best. If you guys are a married couple, it's no longer two. You guys are one unit together. You're working together in all aspects. Why have it separate at all? Why? I can't even think of a reason.
You and I are on the same page. It's just devil's advocate here. Everyone does it differently. I know a lot of couples who seem to be thriving with a different arrangement. We've had different guests on in the past in Chicago now that have the exact opposite. We happen to be aligned on this one, what we do.
But he said, keep your mind open, didn't
Keep your mind open. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I'm so gun shy about bringing it up because I have been so curious when I hear little things from other couples like, wait, did you just say that's yours? That you don't know how much blah blah blah.
You're scared to ask.
I'm like scared. Exactly. I'm like, wait, how the heck does that work?
Wait, tell me the details.
How the heck does that work?
This is what I've seen though growing up, because I've had family members who do this in marriage. They keep everything separate. So when you go into the pantry and you eat some chips, oh, those aren't your chips, those are my chips. Like, I feel like that's just a bad road to go down, because you took change out of my change jar. That's my money. That's not your money. Like,
well, the point he made about our split, because Maggie and I did do that splurge account thing for the first couple of years. It just he was spot on. It just got a little too. It never bred resentment, but it just got too complicated. No, not even tit for tat. It was just complicated. It was like, you know what? At a certain point, you're just like, you know what? I know that you don't get speeding and red light tickets on purpose, and that we all I occasionally turn right on a red light. You know what I'm saying? And get
we're all on the same team.
We're on the same team.
Yeah.
I know that you're not a crazy spender, and our values are generally aligned, and it does force you to kind of.
And I mentioned kids,
really be
but
together.
How on earth do you keep finances separate when you have children? Like, okay, you're going to pay for gymnastics this month. I'll pay for it next month. You're going to buy the Cheerios this week. I'll buy them next week. Like, that is too much.
Sounds like a lot. There's a lot of moving parts in life. Those just feel like it'd be too much, but it works. It works for certain people. It does, and I guess we should be more curious about how that happens. It's just I'm too shy to ask.
I'm not shy. I'll ask.
You'll just ask, Caitlin.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I can't wait for this. We are going to live check in with someone who's on the ground.
Oh, yeah. Kathy McCabe. How fun.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I've been hearing about this Lindsey Vonn thing.
Yeah.
She had to be airlifted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to check in with PB host Kathy McCabe. She's there to witness all the action, and she's going to share her vantage point with us coming up next.
Memory of a killer is
Welcome back. Have you ever been to Italy?
Oh, yes.
You have? Can you
just
tell me
this
about
year.
Italy? What was that like?
It was everything I was hoping it would be and more.
How was the cuisine?
The cuisine was amazing. The scenery. It was like, how did I not do this sooner?
Really?
I had gone after college, just doing the backpacking thing with a friend of mine, but we went back into like wine country,
yes.
And it looks like a movie set everywhere you turn.
Really?
I cannot recommend it highly enough. There's a reason it's like probably the most popular country.
You lost 15 pounds eating spaghetti.
Oh, man.
That's phenomenal.
A lot of carbs were consumed, and we get to take you to Italy. This is for a different kind of occasion. The Winter Games just kicked off, which means we are following a ton of events over the next couple weeks, and this morning we have the privilege of being joined by PBS host Kathy McCabe. She is there to witness all the action. Look at you. Kathy, thank you so much for taking time for us. What is that cathedral? It looks like you're in front of a cathedral. Where are you?
This is the Duomo in Milan. I'm on this terrace of a department store here in Milan that has the best view, and the sun is setting because we know we're 7 hours ahead of you.
Yeah. So it's like it's almost 6 o'clock there, huh?
It is the perfect time for an aperitivo. You know what aperitivo is?
Of course, the little Aperol spritz. Yeah, there you go.
Ooh, yum.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in Italy, you cannot drink without eating, so you always have something to eat.
Always.
I love that. A little
Always.
snack, a little bevy. Let's talk about your experience so far. What's it been like?
I think it has just restored my faith in humanity.
Oh,
Is that
good.
too big of an experience to
No,
have?
let's go.
All these people coming together from around the world, celebrating sportsmanship, celebrating togetherness. I was able to sit at the opening ceremonies, and you see the Parade of Nations, Andrea Bocelli singing.
Oh, wow.
It's extraordinary.
Okay, so how have you spent the last couple? So you went to the opening ceremony. How are you covering this for your travel series?
So, well, I've done a lot of articles so people and content so people could go to the Olympics, but now you can use it as an inspiration for your trip this year, next year. This is the most widespread Olympics in history. You're going to see 8,000 square miles of Italy. So lots of travel ideas.
Okay, so Kathy, let's talk about what's happened so far. What's been hitting the headlines?
Okay, so the opening ceremony, I don't know if you guys watched, it was pretty extraordinary in person. All those costumes, and Andrea Bocelli really nailed it with his rendition of Nessun Dorma. I went to see the women's ice hockey. They won the U.S. versus Finland 5-0, and I was so lucky last night to see the ice skating and Ilya Malinin, who helps the U.S. win a gold. I got to see it, hear the Star Spangled Banner. It was incredible.
Nice.
Wow. Speaking of the Americans here, what's the buzz on that side of the pond? The big stories coming out, at least from what we're hearing, is the Lindsey Vonn situation, and also this one skier that, or I can't remember if he's a skier or another kind of athlete, that was saying some things about America that didn't quite go over well with Donald Trump.
Yeah, this is a crazy time in the world, so whatever you say kind of gets picked up. The skiing is about 4 hours from here in Cortina, so I'm not, again, it's really widespread, so I'm not right there on the slopes, but Lindsay was the big story yesterday until we won the gold and people started talking more about that.
Okay, well, looking forward to today. What's going on?
Gosh, I don't know. Today's been my day off from going to all the events, but here we have hockey. Men's in Milan, it's men's hockey, women's hockey, speed skating. It's amazing.
What were you most excited to see? I know you're a travel person. I'm guessing this is not your first trip to Italy. In planning this whole voyage, you mentioned how widespread the Olympics are, from high in the mountains down to where you are right now. So what were you most excited to do, and how is that living up to your experience so far?
Well, I will tell you, 20 years ago, I went to the Torino Olympics in Italy. So that's the most recent Olympics that were in Italy. And we scalped tickets at the last minute, which isn't possible now, to go to the opening ceremony. And I thought it was just a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I've made it now a twice-in-a-lifetime experience to go to the opening ceremony on Friday night. And it's funny, it's the song Nessun Dorma from the opera Turandot. Pavarotti sang it 20 years ago, and Bocelli sang it on Friday. So that just gave me chills.
Wow. Okay, so Olympics aside, let's just talk, because I'm curious about travel. I've never been to Italy. What are your favorite
I need to help you go.
What are you eating there? What are you seeing? What are you experiencing?
Oh, risotto is a big dish here in Milan. Veal cutlets, agnolotti, which is like a pasta with meat in it. I'm eating very well, as I always do. Besides, the food, that's the thing. You just cannot have a bad meal. The cappuccino I just had, they always say, Italians say you shouldn't have a cappuccino after 11 a.m. To them, it's a breakfast drink, but I break that rule. I love having cappuccino all day. You can break the rules. It's really okay.
Yeah,
and then besides food, there's just the Olympic. There's a lot of pin trading. I don't know if you remember when I brought the pins when I came in the fall. So people are trading pins, meeting each other. There's a big mega store right over my shoulder, and there's a line every day to get in and buy the souvenir shirts, hats, socks, backpacks.
what is the crowd like there? You know, like when I was in Florence, you know, you could kind of tell the locals from the tourists. But I'm guessing during the Olympics, the people you're seeing around you are from everywhere. Are people decked out in their, you know, their country's colors? Is it a lot of Americans out there? Paint a picture for us.
Do you know who's the most decked out? I'll give you one guess.
The
The
Americans.
Americans.
The Americans?
They are wearing, oh yeah, I'm so proud of them. They're such a friendly bunch too. And you forget, not that you forget, but I'm like, oh God, we're so friendly. They're talking to everybody on the metro. They're wearing red, white, and blue, like flag outfits, hanging the flag, you know, holding it up for the skaters and the hockey players. Big puffy hats, scarves that say USA. And it's been, you were asking sort of about the political climate before. People are not, they're happy to have us here. They're happy to have the Americans here. You know, there's nothing sort of personal about it.
Good. That's good to hear.
So
It is really nice.
Kathy, how long are you going to be staying there?
A few more days in Milan, and I'm staying a little longer in Italy, as I always do, to explore new places for my PBS show and my travel.
It would be a crime not to overstay. It'd be a crime to come home early. All right, Kathy, where
You
can...
should stay as long as you can.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Where can
I
folks...
give you permission.
Thank you. Where can folks find some of your articles and follow your adventures? Where's the best place to go?
So, dreamofitaly.com. Our YouTube channel is Dream of Italy. You can see all the PBS episodes. Dream of Italy on all the socials. You can see some of the things I've been up to and what I'm doing here in Milan. And it's just, I love the Olympics. If you ever have the chance to travel to one anywhere in the world, LA is in 2 years. It's well worth it.
Beautiful.
So cool. We're all jealous, but we got to live vicariously through you. Kathy McCabe, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have
Arrivederci.
fun. Yes, arrivederci.
Fun.
Oh my
I'm so
gosh.
jelly.
Ciao. So good. And she's right. You can't have a bad meal. I don't think
Oh,
we
I
had one bad meal.
I would be eating bread while
entire
doing
time.
that interview.
Yeah.
Slap on some butter.
Some like olive oil and
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and the olive oil's fresh there, and oh man, it's so fun.
so good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, today's trending topics including
Tesla.
an odd, Tesla. We're going to talk about Tesla. And we're going to talk about this odd stench,
Oh, the smell.
the odd smell that is wafting its way all over Chicagoland. Tons of comments are coming in.
Yeah.
There's an investigation underway. People are like, what is going on a
could it
Monday to
be?
kick off the week? We'll be right back.
10:53. Okay, do you want to start with Tesla or the smell outside?
Start with Tesla. I'm curious about this.
Okay. So Tesla reveals final semi-truck specs, which this is kind of surprising to me.
I didn't even know they were in the semi-truck biz.
Yeah. Okay. So
We have a
they've
screenshot of this?
quietly updated its official semi website with final specifications for the production version of its all-electric Class 8 truck, confirming 2 trim levels, standard range and long range. Why would they have a standard range for a semi-truck? That doesn't make sense. Okay, but the standard trim gets 325 miles of range with an energy consumption of 1.7 kilowatt hours per mile, gross combination weight of 82,000 pounds. The spec update comes after Tesla unveiled the redesigned semi at last year's shareholder meeting with a new chassis. I like that word. Updated headlights and improved aerodynamics. Production was pushed into 2026 as the company continued installing equipment at its Nevada factory, which Tesla said in April was on track for volume production in H1 of 2026.
Okay.
How do I feel about this?
I want to see a screenshot.
I think it's a great idea. Obviously, it has to be a very strong vehicle to have a battery that pulls a semi-truck.
That is pretty remarkable.
That's-
like, I would like to have a couple 100-mile range pulling how many?
82,000
pounds. That's got to be a big old battery.
So I drive an electric vehicle now, and I drive all the way I drive about over 100 miles a day, and I have no range anxiety. I have plenty to get here and back to home.
Is that a EV owner emotion?
A range anxiety.
Range anxiety? Like,
Yeah.
Do you suffer from range anxiety?
Range anxiety.
So you don't have range anxiety?
No, and I've talked to Kaplan about him getting one too, and he said he would have range anxiety.
How? But you live further. Don't you live further out than?
We live about the same distance.
So how many commutes could you fit into one?
2.
You could do down and back, down and
I've
back.
done it. Didn't
on
want
one
to do
charge.
it, not on purpose. Yeah, and it was before they put. I didn't charge it when I was in Chicago. I got here. I was almost to work, and I was like, uh-oh, didn't charge it last night. Got home with like 6% left. So that was the one time, I guess, that I did have range anxiety. But
And it gives you the miles, right? It doesn't
Yes.
just say 6%.
Sure,
It says like,
yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to charge while you're at work?
no,
Okay. But you charge overnight at home.
I do. But you could charge it when you're at work.
Now,
Or do a supercharger somewhere.
I've always been curious. So for you, I know it varies person to person and during the winter versus the summer, but for you, do you find that the electric bill is
Higher, of course.
well, yeah, higher, but like,
Makes sense.
does it offset what
Yeah.
you would have
Okay, so
you
let me
would have
explain.
spent on gas?
I'll give you all the juicy details, you guys. So my previous vehicle was paid off, which was fantastic. But we were getting to that critical point where I think it had 125, maybe 130,000 miles on
Yeah.
it. And so it was either we sell it now and actually be able to get something for it, or we ride it till the wheels fall off. The only issue is this vehicle that I bought it because it was very safe. Unfortunately, I didn't know that it takes Supreme gas. So we were spending $500 a month on
Oh my
gas alone.
gosh, yeah.
Gas alone.
Oh,
so
so
yes,
you're
it was a
well,
payoff,
yeah.
But it was $500 a month for gas.
Yeah.
So I figure with the car payment, which these electric vehicles, you can get them fairly affordable if they're used these days. The car payment along with the increase in your electric bill, which I think mine, again, I'm driving more than 100 miles a day, less than 100, maybe to $100 extra a month for my electric bill.
Nice.
So those combined, it was a even trade-off for.
Yeah, there's the new semi from Tesla. They
It
do
looks
look,
cool.
yeah. And I mean, it is kind of nice to know that those would be out there, no tailpipe with the exhaust fumes.
Right.
Now I don't know how much environmental impact the
Oh,
power
building them,
stations
yeah.
and all that and building them. And
Have you considered getting an electric vehicle?
I have not, but I haven't been in the market for a car in a while. You know how much I love my little Subi.
And you don't have to drive as far as I do.
No.
I think that's a trade-off.
But yeah, but I have a friend who has so basically what he said is that similar to you, it's an amazing commuting car because there's no like maintenance on it.
Correct.
And there's no maintenance and it's just, you plug it in.
Yeah.
But he did take it on a road trip, and that's where he kind of
It's
ran
annoying.
into some problems where he had to stop for a half hour or an hour to charge, you know.
Yeah.
And so he's like, my lesson learned is take the traditional car on road trips,
100%.
but as a
Yes.
commuter car, you can't beat it. That's where
Exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do. It's like a trade-off. Like
So
we've got
maybe you
the
have
family.
one of each.
Get a van that you can just have the kids in. You know, and then when it's just one of you by yourself, you take the.
The electric car. That's great. Okay, we have to. Wow.
Oh, we
I
ran
was
out of
hoping.
time.
Yeah, I
We're
was
gonna
hoping to
about
talk about the smell.
Wait, you're here for
Smells
the next
outside.
hour, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
If you could talk about it, and then
I want to hear from other people who have smelled it too. We got to take a break. Another hour of Chicago Now happens right after this.
the 11 o'clock hour of Chicago Now. Anthony, thank you for sticking around for
You
another
are very
hour.
welcome, Gabby. It's my pleasure. Did you stay up and watch the Super Bowl
I
last night?
stayed up and watched the first half. But can I tell you, I also was in a full house.
You were.
My in-laws host an epic Super Bowl party.
Ooh.
It's like, I swear, like 70 people. It's like 5 huge tables filled with food, drinks galore.
Whoa.
It's pretty intense. But every
That's a
year I
big
never
party.
take off the next day, and so I'm always leaving like pre-halftime.
Right. Oh,
and it's okay like with a game like last night because I really didn't care about who was playing.
Me neither.
And so it was mostly just like chatting, and so I'm glad that we're like catching up on some of the
know.
Super Bowl ads and things
Me
like
too.
that, because like you probably didn't have any audio.
I couldn't watch it at all because
probably
it was
couldn't even sit still.
Theo's birthday / Super Bowl party, so I was putting out fires left and right.
So your Super Bowl is pretty much for the time being is
It's
gonna
just
be dedicated
monopolized
to
the
it's gonna
kid.
be dedicated to
the
Theo
kid
and his friends.
It was
love
fun.
it.
We played squares, and they get so into it. I did
yeah.
not know, because it's kind of like it's not the most like exciting game, but it's just something to do during Super Bowl where you pick some squares. But these kids, these 10-year-old, 9 and 10-year-olds, were running up to the board every time like, oh my gosh, I need a field goal here. So that was
How
fun.
many were you talking? Like
15 kids.
15
We had
kids,
15
Anthony?
kids over.
And
a lot
that's
of
where the
kids.
pizza came from downstairs.
Exactly.
I was wondering. Well, speaking of pizza, we're going to be talking pizza at the last thing during the show.
Yes.
Because there's a couple of like special events or things that you can look forward to with one very well-known pizza parlor around our area. Some other things that are coming up, we're going to be talking about Google searches during Super Bowl.
What were
because
people searching?
I loved the interview that you guys had at the top of the 10 o'clock hour, redoing some of these ads and like reacting to them and having the actual professor
there to break it down.
Yeah, from Northwestern.
It was interesting, his comment, because I asked him, like, because some of these ads, they don't all hit. Some of them are big misses, right? And when I asked him, like, you know, how do those even make the air if they don't check every single box?
But sometimes, is it for a reason? Because then, yes, people, like, if it's kind of unclear, then they will, like, Google search it and then
he
go to
answered
that
very
website.
candidly, Gabby. He's like, sometimes there's just too many decision makers, and it comes down to maybe the CEO in the end is like, you know what? Nope, we're going with that one. And when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, sometimes you get mush, right? And so that was kind of his analogy. And it's very, it gets political behind the scenes. So like, if you have too many people involved, then you can get an ad that is.
I felt like with the one that we've recapped this morning, both on Good Day Chicago and at the top of your hour, Chicago Now, it's been pretty upbeat, like some of the commercials. There hasn't been a lot of like doom.
That was one of the themes this year, and we can talk about it more, but it felt like, according to the ad experts that came on, people did keep it a little bit lighter, a little more whimsical, a little more humor, as opposed to some of the real heavy. Now, there were a couple more serious spots, but maybe that's a reflection of things that are so serious in the news, politics, international news, all the things that are going on. Maybe it was a collective compensation for all of that. Keep it a little more light.
I like that. That's okay with me. And then also we're going to be talking about a new scientific advancement when it comes to fertility. So we're going to have a doctor on here to chat about it, to talk about some of the trends that are going on. But first, we're going to be chatting with our friends from Lyric Opera of Chicago. We're welcoming in Enrique Mazzola, music director of Lyric Opera. Thank you for joining us. I see, you know, the beautiful scenery there at Lyric.
Maestro, good to have you on the show, sir.
And this is for Mozart's beloved Women Are Like That, a comedic opera. Yes, thank you so much, Enrique, for joining us.
Così van tutti. Did I get the pronunciation right? Così van tutti, right?
Yeah, but actually you have to say così fan tutte, because this is about women. So all the women do like this. Così fan tutti would be all the men do like this. But you know, in this opera, actually, at the end, we demonstrate that everyone, in this case, we can say tutti, are doing this kind of things. They are trying to explore different possibilities of love and romance. And actually here in the magnificent stage of Lyric Opera of Chicago, we are telling this story, which is actually very funny, because when there are two sisters having two boyfriends and they decide, the boyfriends, to exchange the sisters as girlfriends, there's a lot of fun, a lot of misunderstandings, and a lot of comic situations.
Maestro, I understand this was a very, very controversial and I mean, still, this concept when it came out. And this is, with regards to the plot, when they switch their girlfriends here, what is the aim there? This is a loyalty test of sorts, correct?
The fact is that there is the manager of this country club who says, no, don't believe that your girlfriends are loyal and faithful to you. I bet that I can demonstrate you that they aren't. And that's why they decide to finally exchange with, of course, arriving in disguise of someone else. Of course, in real life, you would say, okay, I know this guy, or I recognize this guy. But this is theater. This is opera. We really have this as realization of a funny situation, which is supported by one of the most beautiful musics ever written by Mozart. And don't imagine that it's a serious, static music. Actually, there are really fireworks in the orchestra pit, which is exactly here behind behind me. And yes, and it's full of sound, full of life. I love this opera because it's full of life. Yeah.
So would you say that this is more upbeat music, or does it really, you know, tell the story of different scenes? Because I can imagine if they're, you know, switching boyfriends and there's going to be some kind of like somber parts. I mean, I'd be upset if I knew my sister was going after my boyfriend and vice versa. I guess then I'd take my sister's boyfriend. I don't know. But tell us how the music tells a story.
Well, the music tells you immediately when something is sad, when something is suspicious, when something is absolutely bright and funny. This is the magic of Mozart, is that in the moment you listen the melody, and I can assure you, you can go out of this magnificent opera house and you already memorize all the tunes because they are so easy and beautiful. So immediately when the orchestra starts from the first phrase, you start to imagine if what you are going to see on stage is something funny, is something sad, is something thoughtful. Because also, you know, these two sisters, when they are tricked in this exchange of lovers, actually they got super emotional. So you understand, it's not just laughing opera. It's also about human emotions. These sisters really are broken about love can be different.
What do you think it is about this show, this opera, that has stood the test of time?
Well, the fact is, like many operas, many storytelling situations, there are things that never change in life. Yes. So here we explore the emotions of four, let's say, teenagers, late teenagers, and they explore the first love, the first time they meet someone, the first love. They offer loyalty, and if you come here, you have memories of how it was. If you are a teenager, you see yourself in a difficult situation, like in Così fan tutte. So actually, it's timeless, this idea of this opera like Così fan tutte.
You know, you kind of answered it, Enrique, but I'm still curious. It's a comedic opera, but how do you make opera funny? You know, how does that translate to the opera? How do you convey the comedy to the audience?
Well, actually, I have to tell you a secret. In Mozart music, everything is written already in the score. So we use like a book where there are a lot of notes, yes, musical notes, and is already written by Mozart, the timing. So we don't need an extra script. All the, let's say, script is already in Mozart's mind. So the moment in which, comicity moment in which they take off the mustache, in which the ladies are surprised. So all the comicity is already in this magnificent script, which was written at the end of the 18th century. But it looks like written the day before yesterday. So it's a very contemporary, very modern. And of course, we have artists. We are artists. So our job is to transform this book of notes into something that we offer to the audience. And we have a super cast of singers. There are 6 singers, and they know very well how to take the emotions also from the audience between comicity and the moment of tears, for example.
Will you tell us what goes into rehearsing for an opera like this? How long have rehearsals been going? Do you start with just the singers and then add in the orchestra later? How does that all work?
Well, the rehearsals is a moment, the progress of work that we do to arrive to a performance. So we start with the singers, not here on stage, in a room on the 2nd floor. We call it the room 200, and we study all the movements that we are supposed to do. So there is a lot of coordination between the different singers. At the same time, we study the music, and maybe on the 2nd week, I start alone with the orchestra here in the pit. Now, the 3rd week is about putting together the work we have done upstairs, the room 200, and the orchestra. And we call it a stage and orchestra rehearsals. So we put all together, and if I did my job preparing with the same tempi and same idea, the orchestra and the singers, everything matches magically.
It is truly amazing. I was at the Lyric Opera of Chicago not too long ago to watch or to talk about Salome, and you know, seeing the dance and the music, and they were going to have dress rehearsal that day. It's magical. I'm curious, Enrique, for people at home who are interested in seeing this show, what kind of age group? I guess it would be a good Galentine's Day outing, I would say. But is there a certain, you know, maturity level that you have to be at in order to enjoy this show?
You know, there are some operas, like, for example, Salome, which are super fascinating, but probably you have to be a little bit mind prepared for this huge drama. An opera like Così fan tutte, I would say, is a very good opera for people coming, for example, the first time at opera. And I want to to all our friends out there, don't be afraid of opera. It's super funny. It's a super experience. There are super trained singers singing without microphone. And look, every single seat in this opera house can hear perfectly. So we don't use any microphone.
Wow.
And it's super funny. This is the beautiful of this Così fan tutte production. I would say you love opera, it's your opera. You don't know opera, it's your opera.
Ah, okay. So this is a good on-ramp to opera. Enrique, do you have a favorite character in this opera? And if so, why?
Well, the role of Don Alfonso, let's say the old man that in our staging is the manager of this place, is quite manipulative, but not manipulative in a bad way. Manipulative because he like to make, let's say, different experiences. Yes, so he pushes the two boyfriends to exchange, and he's a sort of philosopher of life. If you want a little bit cynical, of course I don't love him because he is cynical, but I love him because Mozart wrote this psychological character so well in his script.
It's unbelievable to me. So Mozart actually wrote the words, and did he come up with the plot as well? Because I always thought, okay, Mozart may have written the music, but this is based on something else. But Mozart wrote this.
Of course, you get the point. So usually in the opera there are always two people working together: the musician and the person writing the text. We call in the opera the text, we call it libretto. So there was a very famous Italian, Da Ponte, who wrote the libretto for this opera, for Nozze di Figaro, for Don Giovanni, for example. And his libretto, his words, the combination of his words were really loved by Mozart. And Mozart really decided, okay, I want to put in music this combination of words. So when we speak about the script, actually comes from a second person, who was Da Ponte, who was a very good friend of Mozart.
That makes sense.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
I think, Enrique, that I was talking with Anthony after I asked you one of the questions and I talked about the plot. I said, was that right? And he goes, so-so. And I go, okay, well, that means that I'm going to have to go to the show so I have a total understanding of it.
It's the men who try to trick the women.
The men try to trick them.
Yes.
I see. Okay, it's all making sense.
It's
now.
a loyalty
See how
test.
little I know, and I'm going to learn a lot, I think, going to Lyric. How long is the show running, and also how long is the actual show itself?
So the show itself is two parts. Each part is more or less 1 hour 25, 1 hour 30, and we have shows until the 15th of February.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is
Going
a good
fast.
Valentine. This would be a fun Valentine's Day date. Thank you so much. We really appreciate Enrique Mazzola, music director over at Lyric Opera. Break a leg. I hope it is an awesome performance.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Enrique.
Yes. You got to take Maggie over there.
That's what I'm saying. I need to see more shows like Salome as well.
Because tell me about that. I've never actually been on stage. You were right on stage.
I was right on stage. I felt like a superstar and had none of the talent with the people that were on that stage. No, I was talking to the director. I was also talking to the choreographer, and the choreographer was explaining how, you know, it was matching, because like one of the scenes is Salome like going through these different rooms, right? Dancing through these different rooms. So she had to sing. They had, the performers had to sing, but also dance, but also coordinate what room and how it's moving.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just like, it's insane. And I bet the same with this show.
And were they singing? I don't know if they were singing in your live shot, but without any amplification.
They weren't able to because they were getting ready for dress rehearsals. So it was just kind of the folks who were in charge of the production of the show, not necessarily the performers, but I need to go watch it.
Yeah, that sounds really.
That one a little more dramatic. This one a little more.
Lighthearted.
Lighthearted, family friendly. It seems like couple friendly.
We are going to take a quick break, everybody. But when we come back, okay, what were Americans thinking during the Super Bowl? Perhaps the best little telescope into the American psyche might be the Google search engine.
You're right.
Right? What were people searching during the game? We're going to get all the answers from Molly McHugh Johnson. She is a Google search and trends expert when we come back.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Well, hopefully if you've been watching all morning Good Day Chicago and Chicago Now, you at least have an idea of what some of the ads look like. At least I do, because I missed pretty much all of them with a party going on and a lot of chatter.
70 people at your in-laws. Dang.
A lot. I don't know if it's
Dang.
exactly 70, but I also have like no sense of like measurement. So when it comes to like how would people
Crowd
in a
size?
room, if you need me to measure something in my head, forget it.
It won't happen.
Please don't ask me.
Well, we have you covered because we are going to go over the online search trends with Molly McHugh Johnson. She's a Google search and trends expert. Molly, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so first of all, before we get to the halftime show, the game itself, let's talk about the commercials. We know for a lot of folks, that, especially who don't have a dog in the fight in terms of the game, the commercials are really what takes center stage. So which commercials were folks really reacting to as the Super Bowl was unfolding?
Yes. So if you're anything like me, you might be paying more attention to those anyway. And if you need to go back and watch them, they are still all on YouTube. You can go to YouTube Ad Blitz and get a great review of them. The things that people were really enjoying, the Mr. Beast Salesforce commercial was very popular, as was the Dunkin' commercial. I feel like that one is always popular every year. And then the Liquid IV commercial was really popular as well.
Oh, I didn't see the Liquid IV
yes.
one. But were they, what was it?
I didn't even watch like a lot of it because I was hosting. This had to do with the color of your pee, right? Sorry.
Nice, Anthony.
I believe so, yeah. But you can go watch them all later.
I had to say it.
So they're all still available.
You know Liquid IV, right?
Oh yeah, I know Liquid IV.
Yeah.
So did they actually search like Liquid IV or Mr. Beast when they're searching things, or is it just like things that were related to the commercial that they're searching?
We saw just like the topic and then Super Bowl commercial. That's usually what people go and look for. Some of the ones that were really popular during the game, so it's, not every Super Bowl commercial is available immediately. They kind of like sneak them out a little bit. They tease them, things like that. So some of them you have to watch after the game, but the ones that people were watching even prior to the game, so we're kind of getting a lot of hits on YouTube. We saw that kind of rise as well. So the Google commercial actually was one of them. It's called New Home, and it's like a mom and her son. They're using AI to imagine their new home. Kellogg's had a really popular Raisin Bran commercial featuring William Shatner, so that one was rising. But yeah, a lot of time it is brand name Super Bowl commercial is a pretty popular search.
Makes sense.
Molly,
we had an ad professor on earlier in the morning, and he was absolutely gushing about that Google AI where they were designing the house that you just mentioned. Yeah, that connected with a lot of people apparently. What about during the game? Were there any kind of spontaneous Google searches that happened with regard?
Yes. all of those things. So some of the really popular trending queries happening during the game were things like, has there ever been a shutout during the Super Bowl? And has a kicker ever won MVP? Which make a lot of sense. The game was a little bit slower as far as on the offensive side, so those were really popular. But then we also saw searches that, have nothing to do with the game. People were wondering who's Charlie Puth, who sang the national anthem. So he started getting a lot of search queries. One of the related ones for him was whether he was lip syncing or not.
I've seen that.
Obviously, I don't know the answer to that, but people were very curious about it. And people were also Googling about Bad Bunny plenty. So people wanted to know Bad Bunny lyrics, where is Bad Bunny from? And the one I really loved was the wedding during the halftime performance real? And the answer is yes, it was.
See, I need to go back and watch the
Yeah, me
entire
too.
halftime show because, again, I was a little distracted, so I didn't get to see it. I saw Passionate Kiss come out of nowhere, and I was like, wait a second, maybe it's the music, getting to them and them wanting to embrace. I don't know. But apparently it was a wedding.
It was their wedding.
Wow. So it was a real wedding that happened.
It was, yeah. I have no other details about it, but that was just something people were searching for so much that we went and wanted to see, okay, we have to look now too, and it was real.
Molly, come on, you work for Google.
Wow.
You have to have all the answers. Everyone expects that
I
from
know
you.
that there was this competing alternate Super Bowl halftime show, the Kid Rock show, where people, did that make a dent on Google at all?
Sure. Yep. There were some searches for Kid Rock. Bad Bunny did get a little more search traffic, but there were also lots of other artists. So it was a lot of just interest in various artists. So in addition to Charlie Puth, people were Googling for all those celeb cameos in the background. So Pedro Pascal, Lady Gaga, Jessica Alba, and then even outside of Super Bowl, so unrelated completely, Olivia Dean and Lola Young were two searches related to Bad Bunny, and we are guessing that's because the Grammys weren't that long ago and they were also Grammy winners. So just this moment in time got people interested in lots of different artists.
That makes sense. Molly, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you worked for Google? Have you done this kind of report in past years? And how does, I guess, this year compare maybe to the last couple?
Yeah, I have been at Google for about 6 years, and we yearly look at what the search trends around the Super Bowl were. I wish I could remember what they were last year, but things are so pinpointed to such a moment in time that it's really hard to keep all of that information kind of in your head. I will say that every year around the same time, we see these seasonal trends. So we get questions, we'll see people start searching for watch party right before the Super Bowl. Or another really interesting one that we see pretty regularly, but this year in particular, it really spiked, was the best position for your TV, how far away it should be, 10 feet for this size TV or things like that. So there are some things that consistently kind of peak up every year.
Makes sense, makes sense. Now, do you have any data or insight into what people were searching for based on their geographic location? I'm wondering, hey, were there any things that Chicagoans specifically might have been searching for during the game last night?
I can't tell you about Chicago, but I can tell you one that we looked up and thought was really interesting was the snack associated with each of the teams in the Super Bowl. So we looked at what food item is being searched alongside the Patriots and what food item alongside Seattle Seahawks. So for the Patriots, this, not much of a surprise, chili was a very popular item, and I feel like I see that at a decent amount of Super Bowl parties. Alongside Seahawks, it was goulash, which I found kind of surprising, but very delicious and interesting.
Would you say goulash is more of a Midwest thing?
I don't know.
More than a Northern California?
The first time I had a goulash was, Maggie made it, and I don't know. I had never had it before my wife made it for me.
It's a soup. I also am just thinking, it's not very easy to transport to parties, but I love the ingenuity.
Okay,
yeah,
they
for
had
sure.
some old goulash going on over in that part of the world.
Did any players? You mentioned everyone was Googling, hey, has the kicker ever won the MVP? That's an interesting little query. Did any players on the field see a spike or players that were featured in the commercials or the intro or anything?
Yes, definitely. So both of the quarterbacks got a lot of search interest, which is not a big surprise. And then both of the Patriots wide receivers, they didn't see as much play time, or at least as much action. Things were definitely on the defensive end of the evening. But then we did see Jason Myers, the Seattle Seahawks kicker, get a lot of attention. And interestingly, we also saw like old Seahawks players kind of start to trend. So like Marshawn Lynch was one of them, and Russell Wilson. People were searching for the like Seahawks legends of the past. So that got a big spike during the game as well.
You know, Molly, sometimes, and Anthony, sometimes I'm looking online. I don't know if something is real or fake. Like, for instance, I didn't know if this was AR or not, but it looked like Kim Kardashian kind of did the hard launch of a new relationship. Were there any things like that, Molly, that you guys ran into, like new people sitting next to one another, and that really like caught people's attention and they searched that up?
I saw that as well. I didn't see search traffic around it specifically. I would not be surprised if by this morning there was some of these things kind of bubble up so quickly. But the ones that we did notice and kind of took a look at were all those cameos in the background of the halftime show. So in addition to Lady Gaga and Pedro Pascal, we saw Jessica Alba. It was Jessica Alba at the Super Bowl. And who was Carol G. Another question around, was she there? So we saw that as well. So there was definitely some like, wait, did I just see so-and-so in the background?
I can see that. Like, hey, I thought that looked like, and then you punch into Google, of course. I'm curious in general, do you know if Google searches are more, if there are more Google searches during a big sporting event like the Super Bowl, as opposed to just like, you know, Tuesday afternoon at 4? Because like I could see some people being like, okay, my phone is down, at least for now. I'm going to watch the game. But then I could see the other people who are like, you know what, this is the time to be online and like, you know, be interactive with the whole experience.
Yes, definitely during like big cultural moments. If you have that feeling like, oh, I gotta look this up, you can absolutely bet that a massive amount of other people are doing the same thing. And oftentimes, as we see, asking the same questions. So it's very, it really gives you like an eye into a quick zeitgeist. So just something, not even something that builds over months or years, but something that is building over seconds and minutes. So it's very interesting to look during these specific kinds of cultural moments.
Molly, interesting stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else in your research that maybe we didn't ask about that you'd like to share that you thought was just extra interesting, you and your team?
I really liked seeing the food stuff. So there were some other really fun food searches. Ones that aren't really that surprising would be like sliders, and we saw like dips and things like that. And then all this like related to parties in general. Probably my favorite like pre-party search that I saw was Bad Bunny cutout. So enough people were searching for Bad Bunny cutouts for their parties that it started trending, which I just think means there's got to be a lot of them out there now that I don't know what people are going to do with after the party, find another use for them, but I thought that was really fun.
Okay, yeah, apparently there's hundreds of thousands of Bad Bunny cutouts gracing people's living rooms nationwide. Molly McHugh-Johnson, thank you very much for the insight. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And
speaking of sliders, I disappointed some of our party goers.
Oh no!
And I'm very thankful that I did kind of, because for the last couple parties that we've had, I've made these ham and cheese sliders.
Oh, that sounds good.
So good. The reason I didn't make them though was because I didn't want to get into them. You know what I mean? Like sometimes if you don't want to eat it yourself. So it's not that they were disappointed
in the sliders; it's that you didn't even bring them.
I didn't even make them.
You didn't even make them.
For selfish reasons, because I didn't want to be the person eating them. But they're really good.
You were protecting you from you.
Exactly.
Next year.
Sometimes you got to think about yourself.
I want a ham and cheese slider.
You know what? I'll have to make you guys some.
Yeah. What kind of cheese do you use on those?
Like Swiss.
Like Swiss cheese, and then do you put a little like
really thinly shredded ham, and then of course a lot of butter.
Yeah, butter
on
those
seasoning. Yeah, it's good stuff, Anthony. I'm not going to lie. It is good stuff. That sounds like a
home run. All right, we're going to switch gears in a big way. We're going to take a quick break, but then apparently there's some breakthroughs happening in for couples who are struggling with fertility issues. This is called egg rejuvenation, and we're going to be talking with Dr. Jamie Knopman all about this, a potential breakthrough technology when we come back.
Welcome back. This should be interesting. So scientists are reporting early breakthroughs in what they're calling egg rejuvenation. So bringing in right away, Dr. Jamie Notman, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you have released a book, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But for people who are not familiar, maybe like us, with egg rejuvenation, what does this mean?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was listening to Molly before, and I too love the Liquid IV commercial. I was like, that was my favorite. I'm obsessed with Liquid IV. I have 2 daughters, and I'm always like, have you drank enough? Did you look at your urine?
Yeah, no, I'm always trying to say that to my kids too. Oh,
and
man.
I'm like, look, it wasn't just me, other people do.
Yeah.
So, scientists are always searching for ways to make your eggs better, right? Or to replace lost eggs. Unfortunately, I think that most of what we're doing is really in the experimental stage. And the best thing you can do if you want to preserve your eggs for use down the road is to freeze eggs and to freeze embryos, because those are the only 2 reliable ways to preserve your fertility for the future.
Did you say breed eggs and breed embryos?
Freeze.
Freeze. I was like, oh my goch, what did I just hear?
And he did.
Okay. Okay.
Can I ask how expensive is this? Because, when I think of that, I was like, well, that'd be kind of out of reach for most of the population because, typically people do it as kind of a last chance or something like that.
So you're right. Historically, it was, but it no longer is because many, many, many companies are covering it now for their employees. So it started with, Google, Apple, Meta, big companies, but now it's trickled down to hospitals, law firms, tech companies. If you're a full-time employee at Starbucks, at Walmart, it's become much more accessible. Now, we haven't actually hit the entire population, so I'm not saying every single person can do it, but it is much more accessible due to increased coverage. For those who don't have a benefit to do it, it does cost about $10,000, and that will vary depending on where you live in the country.
Interesting.
And is that $10,000 per egg/embryo, or is it for a set?
For a whole, we call them a cohort or a group of eggs. So to undergo one cycle of egg freezing, or the medical term would be oocyte cryopreservation, that would cost approximately $10,000. Now, there's certain parts of the country where it may be more expensive and certain parts of the country where it may be less expensive. Embryo freezing or embryo cryopreservation, which takes the egg into an embryo and grows it in the laboratory, that's going to cost more, like $18,000 to $20,000, again, dependent on where you live in this country.
Okay. So, Dr. Notman, I want to get to your book because it has a really strong title that you just released it, Own Your Fertility. What does this cover?
There we go. Have it on my desk.
Hey, there you go. Just like that.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, got to reach over. So really, we set out to write Own Your Fertility, my collaborating author and I, because we wanted to empower women, right? We wanted women to come into their fertile years with data that was well researched, that was accurate, so that they could own decisions about their body and make the choices that they want to make rather than letting their body make choices for them. The book is split up into 3 sections. We start by talking about fertility preservation, so what we were just talking about, egg and embryo freezing. Then we go into infertility treatment. And last section, which is honestly my favorite section, is resilience, right? It's really the emotional, what happens to you when you go through these fertility journeys and what you need, the resilience you need to get to the end of these journeys.
Can you give us a flavor for what that looks like? I know this is I don't think there's any, at least in my age group, I'm in my late 40s at this point, I don't think I've known anyone who he hasn't been either directly affected by fertility issues or knows someone. So what does that look like in terms of the more psychological or mental aspect of this journey?
You're right. 1 in 6 individuals in this country will face an infertility diagnosis. So it's a lot, right? A lot of us out there. So it's a very, very challenging journey. And I think it's because most of us go through our lives thinking, well, it's inevitable, right? I'm going to want to have kids and I'm going to have kids. And therefore, when somebody says to you, hey, we think that you may be experiencing infertility and this process may be challenging or may require assistance in ways you never thought you needed to build a family, it can really throw you off your course, right? I compare it to a roller coaster. It's like you're like going like this and you want to throw up and you got to grab the person next to you because you're so scared. It's really, really can be an arduous journey. And I think having a support system, which is part of why we wrote the book, right, to give people the information they need and the courage to seek out those answers and opportunities.
You know, doctor, is that number 1 in 6, is that much higher than it was maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago? Because like Anthony, even, you know, at my ripe age, I know some people who are dealing with maybe some delay in conceiving and such. Is it the foods that we're eating, like we maybe hear on social media and such, or stuff in our environment, or is it maybe more just people talking about it now than they used to?
I think it's probably a mixture of a lot of different things. Number 1, number 2, and number 3 is age, right? Women, we don't have kids really in our 20s anymore. The average age of first birth in this country is now 30. In 1970, 1971, it was 21, right? So people are having their first children and then the subsequent kids later and later, and the quality and quantity of the egg declines. So it's age. There is likely a component to environmental factors, whether that be, you know, food or other lifestyle habits. Those are less clearly delineated than ages, but likely that is a component of it. And then lastly, I think the way we sort of think about families has changed. We researched this for the book, right? The way we build families in this country is different. We just don't do it the same way maybe our parents did back in the 70s.
Makes sense. You mentioned the second section of your book has to do with infertility treatments, correct? Okay, so we've been spending most of this segment talking about freezing eggs and embryos for later use cryogenically. What other subjects does that middle section of your book address?
Sure. So I like to think about fertility treatment. I'm a big metaphor person. I'm actually like a big sports metaphor person. But so when I think about infertility, I say, where are the pieces of the fertility puzzle not fitting, right? So we talk about those big pieces. So it's ovaries, where you get your eggs. Do you have good eggs, and are you releasing them? Are you ovulating? The fallopian tubes, the uterus, and the sperm. So we talk about the pieces of the puzzle. And then I like to think about fertility treatment as a ladder, right? So you may start at the bottom of the ladder. That first rung may just be having unprotected intercourse if your partner if you're in a heterosexual relationship, to all the way up to needing a surrogate. So we go through these different rungs so patients or people that aren't yet patients can understand what options are available to them.
Well, you know what? You are helping me understand a lot of this right now, because I think we've had people come on and talk about this a lot, but I have to give you kudos because you're really breaking it down and making it easy to understand. So I can already tell that your book is going to be very helpful for people. When did it come out? Are you seeing any reaction, you know, from maybe some of your readers so far?
Sure. It came out on January 13th. And yeah, we've had a ton of positive feedback, which is obviously so gratifying because that's why we wrote it. We really just wanted to change the conversation. I think if you meet people where they are, we tried to take scientific studies and scientific language and make it relatable, digestible, and understandable so that people can read it and then come into their physicians armed with helpful information that they can ask and make educated choices.
While we have you on the line here live, what advice would you give to women or young couples who are perhaps in their 20s or early 30s to frame their thinking about this?
Yeah, you need to plan for your fertility just like you plan to buy your first house, or you plan to send your kid to college, right? Or you plan for retirement. That needs to be a part of the conversation. It can't be something that we just ignore until it's too late, because we know if we don't address it, it could come at the risk of you not building a family the way you wanted to. So you have to put it into your plans. That way you make sure it happens.
You know, it sounds like you're being really aware of kind of the emotion that comes with this too, because, you know, some of these people, at least that I know, that are trying to conceive, you know, it's like all they can think about, all they could do.
And the longer it goes, the more you can get in that mindset.
So is that part of what you do? Maybe you can give us a little bit of your background too. Is you know, making sure that you're giving it to people and again a way to easily digest it.
Yeah. I think to be a good doctor, you have to meet people where they are on their journey. I say part of my job is not just to be a medical doctor and help people build families, but it's also to help usher people along their journey, right? Because we see a lot of grief on the fertility journey, because when things don't go the way you wanted it to, you grieve. And in the process of grief, there's anger, there's bargaining, right? And if I don't help people move past those stages, they're never going to get to acceptance, and they're not going to build the family that they ultimately want. So I have to, really, I say, read the room, read the individual, read the couple, and learn how I can best push them to get to the place where they will have success. And even if it's maybe with an egg donor, maybe with a sperm donor, what they didn't think they were going to need, I have to know how to do that so I can help them have their family.
One more question for you, Dr. Notman, and that is, while we're talking about how to frame folks' thinking, I'm picturing a young couple who is just married. They want a family. At what point would you advise them to engage either your book or somebody such as yourself? It's like, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but is it like, okay, 5 months have gone by, we haven't conceived. 8 months have gone by now. Like, what is the rule of thumb? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a great question. So, first of all, I think OBGYNs, we've gone to OBs for years. Why is fertility not one of the pillars of health that we talk about with our patients? We talk about mammograms and pap smears and, contraceptive counseling. We should also talk about fertility. And we should then help that woman or that couple understand, okay, if you have been trying to conceive and you are 38 and you've had unprotected intercourse for 6 months, that's time to go to the fertility doctor, because the definition of infertility has changed, right? It used to be a year for everyone. And now we say, well, if you're not pregnant after 6 months and you're above the age of 35, you want to go and see a fertility doctor. If you're 40, you probably don't even really want to try. You just want to go right in. And these changes have really been made because of the aging egg, right? Because women are having babies later. The other thing the definition did that was incredible was it opened up the definition. So couples that are having same-sex couples or single women or single men now can access their fertility benefits where they may have not been able to before because they're recognized as being infertile.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that too. Yeah, we think about those couples as well. All right, Own Your Fertility, already out. Where can people find it?
Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Very good. I hope it's a huge success. Congratulations on the release.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it, Dr. Jamie Notman. Thank you so much. Have a great week.
Bye, guys. Have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Gabby, we get to go through some trending topics.
Are you a little hungry?
I'm a little hungry right now. After those sliders, after all that sliders talk.
Yeah, all that sliders talk, the dip talk, even the goulash talk. Hey.
Hey, there's
I might have a little special surprise for you, Anthony.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Right after this break.
When we come back.
sure there's a party of 3 now, huh? Anthony's getting a little hot over here. You know, I didn't congratulate you on your nuptials.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I don't know
This is my
would be too happy.
I know.
Can you give everyone the background?
Sure. So I didn't know this was going to appear on set today. I really did not.
Surprise, surprise.
But a couple years back, I actually got married to the Lou Malnati's deep dish heart-shaped pizza on Valentine's Day. It was a live shot where I had the representative from Lou Malnati's officiate. I was sober.
Okay.
Yeah, this wasn't a drunk,
Vegas.
spontaneous
Okay.
Vegas wedding chapel decision. I put a lot of thought into it. In fact, I remember taking my vows. Like, it was, yes, I do take you, Lou Malnati's Pizza, to be my lawfully wedded, like, culinary spouse.
Oh, okay.
So it's technically not cheating.
So does Maggie also have a
culinary
spouse, like an equivalent?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's
I'm gonna have to check.
That you know of.
Gabby, tell us what is the occasion for
Okay, so our friends at Lou Malnati's gave us a uncut, perfect. I don't know, is this cheese, sausage, pepperoni?
It looks like the Malnati's special.
Okay, well, those are the options for the heart-shaped pizza. This, you know, sounds like an ad. It's actually just not an ad. We just wanted to make sure everyone at home knows that our friends here took care of us, and that this is an option for your Valentine's Day celebrations. Correct? So like I said, it's in those 3 flavors. Or can I say flavors? Yeah, I guess.
Cheese, pepperoni, sausage.
Yeah. Those 3
signature
toppings.
flaky, buttery crust.
Of course. But the good thing is that they're doing something with Make-A-Wish.
Yes.
So Lou Malnati's is donating $1 from every heart-shaped pizza. And so it's now until February 28th at all Lou Malnati's locations, which is really exciting. But also, on top of it, with Valentine's Day, they're trying to play Cupid as well in the Chicago area.
Love at first slice.
Love at first slice. Isn't that really cute?
Yeah,
So
I
a
like
Chicago singles night, Lou Malnati's is bringing people together in the most Chicago way possible. So over heart-shaped pizza in partnership with Let's Do Fun Things for 2 single night events. So they're having one in the city. It's a Gold Coast location on February 11th from 7 to 9:30, and then the second one is February 19th in Naperville, so they're not forgetting the burbs. Tickets are $25 for ages 24 to 34 and include, of course, the heart-shaped pizza and some soda if you want some too. But essentially, these guided experience combine brief one-on-one introductions and thoughtfully matched groups. So they're actually, I guess, having you maybe do a little survey and putting you together with someone that might be, that might be your vibe.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, if you can't, you know, have the ice broken by Lou Malnati's pie. I mean, this is a great little icebreaker.
You know what would be so easy for me to do, but I'm not an animal and I won't do it.
Just to grab the whole thing.
I could just take this part of the heart right now and I could chow on it.
Tear it off. You're not thinking about doing that at all.
No, because I'm on TV.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm polite,
That'd be.
I actually have manners.
That'd be over the line.
I'll just think about doing it.
So there you go. Singles.
So this smells very good.
LouMalnati's.com/love at first slice. A Chicago singles night.
I love it. I was trying to make a professional transition there, Anthony, and you cut me off. Because this smells so good, but what's not smelling so good is your yard this morning. Not just your yard, I should say.
A lot of Chicagoland people.
What's up with this?
I want to hear from people, other people. Okay, so I walked out this morning. And I always take note of, you know, when you walk out the door, it's like, okay, is this going to be a really cold ride?
Off.
Always. And I noticed a chemical smell. And I couldn't place it at all.
Did he put you in a panic, though? Because we heard about these, like,
I didn't. I just noticed it.
All this crazy stuff.
And then when I got in, I noticed that Mike Kaplan had posted something on his Facebook about people up in his neck of the woods noticing some kind of smell. And then a couple of the news outlets have been covering it too. And I heard 2 descriptions of the smell that hit for me. Because I couldn't play. I was because our EP asked me, hey, what does it smell like? Is it like electric burning? I'm like, no, I just really don't know. 2 people described it in a way that, okay, so for the first description was the Roundup.
Roundup, okay.
Roundup.
Yep.
It does have a smell, okay, like the weed killer. And then the second one was a brand new garden hose. I don't know why I know the smell of this. It's a very specific smell. Terrell over on, I got to give him a shout out because he.
ABC7.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm stealing this from him, but it was spot on. The smell of a brand new garden hose. You know how like when you have a brand new garden hose and you turn on the water, it's got like a different smell.
I don't know, Anthony.
You don't know that smell? It's got a different smell than just like tap.
I barely know anything.
You will when you're a middle-aged homeowner.
When I'm a grown woman.
But he hit it on the head.
Okay.
He hit it on the head, so it had like a brand new garden hose smell.
Interesting.
So we still don't know what's up with it.
No.
But the Algonquin Police Fire District has gotten a bunch of inquiries from people. Apparently, there is reaction online from Indiana to our viewing area, all the way up to Wisconsin.
It's nuts, yeah. So Algonquin Lake in the Hills Fire Protection District says it has received multiple 911 calls because of this. And actually, they are saying that if you're feeling like dizzy or like shortness of breath or anything like that, that you should seek medical attention or, call 911. But that's only if it's like actually a serious issue. But regardless, if you're experiencing that kind of stuff all of a sudden and it's really really harsh, then you should seek medical help.
No response from Maggie. I literally texted her before the show, can you please run outside to
smell the air,
see if it's still there, and she never got back.
Okay. We can't.
So I don't know if it's still up.
Correspondent.
I know. I need
really
her field producing for me.
Yeah, we really
But you didn't smell it, right?
I did not smell it.
You did not smell it. And
actually, I came from Orland Park this morning, so I was on I-55. I smelled something weird, but it's kind of by like Harlem Avenue where there's some factories and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, maybe
it's a factory.
It smelled more like dog food than any of this. Anyway, tomorrow we will have an update for you. Actually, later on today, you can watch all the Fox 32 shows, Fox Chicago shows, and we'll have some answers.
I'm wondering if there was a fire at some kind of factory and it's just the wind.
That's maybe it.
I
don't know. We're running out of time, so stay tuned for the noon show. Stay tuned for our afternoon shows. Maybe we'll get some answers. But thanks for joining us on Chicago Now. We're going to enjoy this pizza.
Yeah, have a great one.
Have a great one.
I was at work.